Hello, hello. Chainsaw Man chapter 153 just dropped. And let's talk about that. Okay, so this chapter starts with Denji. Um he is, you know, being hurt from getting stabbed last chapter, as well as the myriads of other injuries he's going through. And Nayuta, she's lingering on what Denji said last chapter, which is that she should stay far away from him. And before Denji gets a chance to elaborate on what he meant, he is interrupted by a mob of guys with spears. So this chapter, it's named Chainsaw Man Hunter. So in the short time that with about a day or so since random civilians are being turned into Chainsaw Man, the regular other people already formed like their own special group to take care of the local Chainsaw Man. So they surround Denji with a bunch of spears and they throw a net on him and start stabbing. So Nayuta and a local old lady, another old lady who was standing by, they try to, and Fumiko as well, they try to explain that Denji is different, but the crowd, they're not listening because they're a mob. And in particular within the mob is this beanie man. So this guy, in the short time that he appears, you can kind of extrapolate what he went through somewhat. But so this guy is a little different from the rest in that he actually kind of believes Fumiko and Nayuta and that this chainsaw man is different. But he thinks that by killing the main chainsaw man, they can get rid of every other chainsaw man that's being infecting the civilians. So he thinks that like the chainsaws are a hive mind, where if you kill the main, the queen hive, you can like get rid of all her spawns, which is kind of like what the droids went through in the Phantom Menace. So again, you can kind of extrapolate what happened to him from just a short dialogue. So his grandpa got killed by the chainsaws, and his wife turned into a chainsaw. But remember, because to turn into a chainsaw, you have to idolize him, idolize Denji in the first place. So while the husband didn't turn, the wife did. So you can kind of sense a disagreement in their views on Chainsaw Man there. So to begin with, he probably didn't have like a very good marriage with her in some aspects of her life. So, and there's also a chance that his wife may have ate her grandpa, because while in this translation he says your friends ate my grandpa, in the original it's less clear if he's talking about like singular or multiple chainsaws. So there's a good chance that his wife could have been part of the ones that ate this guy's grandpa. You know what? Actually, I'm wrong. He does say like your nakama ate my grandpa. So it is he is kind of saying his friends ate his grandpa. But his wife still could have been part of that. But either way, this guy is not having a good time within the past like 10 hours. I made a little image to represent what his life was probably like. But anyways, back to the important part. So, Denji fights back a little bit because this guy, he knocks Nayuta down. And because he did that, Denji starts swinging. And this image should be higher up. And because he cut this guy, the rest of the crowd kind of reacts, even though they are the ones who initiated the stabbing. And they ask for a lighter so they can burn Denji, because they've been pouring gasoline over him while this is going on. And this guy is, I'm really appreciating the consistency of like the background characters this chapter. But yeah, this guy gets his arm chopped off by Denji. In the long run, he's going to suffer more than Denji is, because Denji can regenerate. So I do feel a little bad for him. But this gets the crowd really going, and they initiate a gang stabbing on Denji. And while this is going on, they're asking each other for a lighter so they can initiate the burning. And while Denji is getting stabbed, he points out that there is a giant fire right in front of him, which is his house, and laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation. And while all that is going on, the old lady from last chapter is, she might not even be that old. She might be like 30. But she holds on to Nayuta and restrains her from helping. But on the other hand, Nayuta, she takes control of this old lady and have her smack the beanie guy around. And then the chapter ends with Nayuta telling Denji to run through this lady. So there's some stuff to go over this chapter. So first of all is the Jesus imagery. Someone in the comments of my right eye video pointed out that the spear Pochita took is kind of reminiscent of Jesus taking a spear famously in the paintings and artworks. And that imagery is kind of making a return this chapter. And even more so when we see Nayuta's inner thoughts, and then she saw Denji in a T-pose. While this was from Denji, pulling out his arms for a hug, but in this case, it's a very interesting choice to do that. And from the big stabbing image here, you can also kind of see that Denji is getting stabbed particularly in the same area that Pochita did and Jesus did, in the side, the right rib. Well, this is a little off, but kind of close enough. So this might be a recurring allegory going on here. Look at from another thing is we kind of see a bit more about Nayuta's mental state at this point, as well as her humanity. Because at the end of the chapter, she could have easily done a lot to... She could have killed a lot of the people in the crowd, like very easily. But she didn't. She took control of the woman who put the spear out of the guy's hands. And she could have used her to just like stab the guy, but instead she slapped him. So Nayuta is showing a lot of restraint here, all things considered. And I think that's kind of a reflection of where her humanity is at, like the level of her humanity. And of course, there's Baron. So I still think he's gonna be hiding and then ambushing Denji next chapter, or very soon. The last we saw him, he got shot in the head by a devil hunter that Nayuta took control of. So I think he's gonna come back to take out Denji while he is weak. Right, because as of now, Denji can just like untransform and then reunite with Nayuta whenever that's taken care of. But we don't, like, from a narrative standpoint, that's probably not going to happen immediately, because there needs to be like a emotional weight to their separation. So I see like Baron being the thing to separate them next chapter. Da, da, da. And that's about the end of this chapter review and analysis, I guess. So, next chapter, fortunately, is going to come next week, which is the end of January. And one thing I want to start doing is that, so at the end of these chapters, there's usually like an editor's note where they give you like their thoughts on what's happening, or like commentary. And for some reason, in the Jump official translations, they don't include these in any of the chapters. So I think that's a weird thing to do. So I'm gonna start like kind of including these in my streams. But this chapter, there's not really saying anything too profound. That just translates to desperately running away. So not too important. We could have lived without knowing that. But yeah, that's about the end. I'll see y'all next week.